Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Old DAWGS Show. It's your boy Brett Swinney here alongside the other old dogs, Vincent Johnson and Corey Marshall. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
And
The Old DAWGS Show here. This is episode one. We're going to talk about some things that happened with Chapel Hill football last year, and then we're going to also discuss what we see for this year's program. We're going to be on every week. We'll talk about last week's game and next week's game, and we'll be. This is our Chapel Hill persona here. We're Chapel Hill alums, so we're going to come at it from the Chapel Hill perspective. So if you want to really insight in depth of what we think Chapel Hill football, this is the show for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. First off, guys, last season was a lot of good things out of Chapel Hill. Made a deep
hmm
run, got back to where they wanted to get in that state semifinal, but just came out flat and just got hammered and punched in the mouth by Bernie. Overall, what did you think of the season?
I think it was a good season. I mean, we have increasingly progressed. Um, I mean, the year before we started out not as strong, and then we caught fire um, and made a run in playoffs. And then this year it was like we kept running. I mean, we stumbled a little bit early, but after that we picked up where we I felt like where we left off last year. We just kept running, you know. Now of course we ran into some heavy competitors there at the end, but you know every time you to me when you lose it's not like it doesn't actually bring me down. It's like I learned from that, you know. And I think Chapel Hill is doing that. They're learning from all of their mistakes, all of their losses and stuff. So I expect for them to do even greater things this year, uh, going moving forward. So and you got these guys. They're young. They're hungry. They're coming back for another run at it. Yeah, I see them doing big things.
Well, and
yeah,
they started off tough last year, Corey, in that those first couple of games, and we're going to see early if they've got some revenge on their mind.
yeah. I mentioned that on the show last year, about them getting over the hump of beating Kilgore and beating Lindale. That was three of the games that two of the three games that I thought were very important. I picked Gilmer first, I picked Lindale, and I picked Kilgore. If y'all remember, I said those are three facets of the season. It's going to tell me and dictate how well the season how well the season goes. And they ended up winning district, which was no to me it was no surprise. But they mastered that art of getting over the hump of having to play Lindale and not quite beating them before, and then playing them again and beating Kilgore. And so think they've gotten over that hump where they believe they can win like last year. But you know, having a good start and consistently playing that way, I think that's the thing for this year is trying to be consistent, putting together a good week after week after week, and that's what they have to do and staying focused each week, because they're talented, but sometimes it has nothing to do with talent. It's a lot of the small stuff that gets you in trouble, and not being disciplined, not making mistakes, and not paying attention and being intense and not catching yourself being down and having to come back and win games, but rather play with the lead and be and continue to and stay with the lead and win the football game. Like I said, I love the quote. You know, I can't remember if it's a quote or not, but it's like once you get that first taste of blood, and if you're an
hmm
animal, you get that first taste of blood, you're gonna want it every time. Once you just start beating people, consistently, it's like I want that feeling every single time. And that's what they have to have. They have to have a killer instinct. And so every single game, you want to come out there and make it. So that's what I'm looking forward to this team this year. I want them to have a killer instinct about them. You're talented, but sometimes you gotta make the opponent know. You gotta make the
Excuse
opponent
me.
fear you. That's the purpose of it. And punish the opponent. Not every other week, but every single week. You punish the opponent in front of you, and you make them fear you.
Well, and we got 15 guys coming back. You've got 9 on offense and 6 on defense. I've got to talk to Coach McFarland a few times in the preseason, and he's excited about what this defense can do. He's got a challenge on him trying to allow less than 20 points a game, which with the schedule they've got, that's going to be tough. But you've got guys like Day Ross, Trevor Brooks in the middle of that defense. You've got Javen Mayfield outside in that defensive backfield. Some D1 players. I mean, you got D1 athletes all over the field. You got Allen up front at DN is just a nightmare for quarterbacks. So this first defensive unit is going to be, I think, much improved from last year. Coach McFarland did a great job with them, and you saw improvement throughout the season. But there were some games that even the score didn't go their way, but they kept the team in the game. One in particular was that very first game against Gilmer. That game could have been 63-0 Gilmer easily. I mean, the amount of turnovers that the offense had, the defense held them on some of those, and even forced turnovers other way. And so, my key is this year. I know the offense is going to have power, but the defense is the key to me.
You still there? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
Oh, okay. I thought I lost you there. It's like it went dead silent for a second. Yeah, I agree with you, Brett. Defense is definitely going to be the key. You can now score people, man, but when you able to keep people from scoring, man, it that's when people get afraid of you. That's when other teams are afraid of you. That's when you get to that level where people just start picking you to win state every year, you know. And there are some teams out there that are like that. They're good offensively, but you know, defensively shutting people down is making their opponents, you know, worried about putting them on the schedule. I think Chapel Hill has that type of defense where they got a lot of playmakers, man, and up front they're dangerous. Up front they're dangerous, but man, you start talking about that secondary and what they're capable of doing. It, I see nothing but great things coming for Chapel Hill in the future, and I think that it's going to, as explosive as the offense is, it's going to start with the defense. It's going to be where the defense is literally handing the ball back to the offense, saying, "Here you go, do what you will with it."
I mean, you can't win state without teams playing defense. You can't. You
Yeah.
got to be able to stop people. But at the end of it, it's not. It's not. Let me rephrase. It's not stopping people. It's getting stops, creating
Yeah.
turnovers. You know, oh well, we got them on third, and we got them on fourth and or third and 7. You know what I'm saying? You know, oh, you get a stop then. Like it's not allowing them to get 5 more yards and they can, easily push the ball. No, get stops, break a play, force a fumble, get an interception, make them afraid to throw the ball over the top, get a good defensive rush going. I mean, all these things add up throughout the game, and you can't win. Like I said, you can't win state without getting stops. Getting turnovers, all that's part of the game. Even special teams, blocking the punt, blocking the field goal, all those things add up, and it takes all of those things to win games. They have the athletes to do it, but they're playing 4 or 5 D1 athletes on defense. So, I mean, that's and maybe even more. So, I mean, you're looking at guys now. I know you've signed. I know you've committed early. And I don't want you to get full, but this is the time where you can just relax and say, you know what, I've committed to the next level. Now I've got to go ahead and start making plays.
Yeah.
You're not trying to impress anybody anymore. Now you're trying to go out here and make plays. Make a play. Coaches say that all the time. I'm looking for my playmakers. You get a ball in your hands, you playmakers to make plays. You're on defense, the whole canvas is yours to make a play. So, that's what they're going to depend on. But I like I told y'all before, I think their defense is going to be the guys that carry them. They got to lean on their defense a little bit more, and I think they'll do it.
Yeah, they got to watch a little bit of the scrimmages. I don't know if you guys got to see some of the highlights of those, but So far, I mean, the offense with Brisbane and Stewart have been pretty much on cruise control, and I mean, Stewart has barely been touched when he's been in the game. He's got a couple of long touchdown runs already, so he's in,
Mm-hmm.
mid-season form. The accuracy of Brisbane has been sharp early, and that's going to be a key for him. He can run. He can make plays with his feet, and he has a tendency when he doesn't do well is when he makes that errant throw every once in a while, and so he's got to cut down on those. Um, but I think the more and more reps he gets at quarterback, which he's getting more reps than most quarterbacks in the state, having getting to play as a freshman, not the whole season, but that half of the season with the little playoff run and then 15 games last year. So he's got a lot of reps behind him. So you only expect with that coaching staff that's what they're working on in the offseason with him. They can get that down, or he can, because he's got the athletes outside. When you got the likes of Mayfield, Dean, Kelly, those guys out there on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
all he's got to do is get it to them. Let them make the play. Don't have to do anything special. His special plays are going to be when he tucks it under and runs, and those long strides that he takes. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to catch him. I mean, he's kind of a tricky, fast guy. He's not, he's not lightning fast, but he's very fast and his strides are long and he's very quick and agile and just tough to tackle. Just from watching
Yeah,
him play.
he has great vision. He has very great vision when running the football.
All right, so some preseason thoughts, guys. What's your expectations of this year's Chapel Hill team? Where do you see them taking their humps, if any, or where do you see them going this season?
Uh, I see them going as far as they want to go. They control their own destiny. That's the truth. They're that good. They control their own destiny. So, um, I see them going as far as they want to go. Now, there are going to be some games where they're going to be less competitive because they're going to kind of outdo their opponent. And that's where you're going to see some other guys get some reps. I would like to see some other guys and what he has, on that roster outside of our starters. Um, Actually, I got a relative on the team. I didn't even know I had a relative on the team until recently.
Uh-oh.
I got a phone call and my cousin. His name is Henry Thurkill, and he's I think he's a sophomore, but he's on varsity, and I think he was moved up to varsity last year during the playoffs, and he actually got some reps. I'm gonna be looking for him out there, number 65. I actually was following him on Twitter just now, and I was thinking to myself like, man, he's got some good
So
measurements here. He's got his numbers and stuff. He
so what
he
uh
benches
what
four.
what position is he going for, Vince?
He's off. I'm sorry, he's offensive lineman, defensive
Okay.
lineman.
Okay.
Benches 405.
Oh,
I ain't never benched 405 in my life.
It's a strong relative.
So
It's a strong relative.
I want to see Coach put him out there and let me see him get some work done.
I
I
have a
told
I have
I
a
told the
strange
family
feeling.
that he was.
I was gonna say I have a strange feeling, Vince, that he's gonna get plenty of time this
Oh
season.
yeah, he's gonna get some work. I got a feeling too. He
Putting up
gonna get some
you
work.
putting up
But
4 or 5. Yeah.
405, man, powerlifting. I was like, wow. I was kind of Jay
So
over there.
is he doing powerlifting also? Maybe
Yeah,
maybe he
yeah.
should. If he's not, he needs to. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
and I love powerlifting, so I'm gonna actually try to get out there and check out some powerlifting this year. I always wanted to do that, but yeah, Chapel Hill again. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna control their own destiny, and obviously when we get in playoffs, it's gonna be the best of the best, and they're one of the best. So I don't have and it's easy for me to say I feel like they can easily make it to state. I don't want to say easily. I think they can make it to state. They have the team to make it to state. So, um, but it's gonna require some work once we get in that playoff realm. So,
All right, Corey.
Um, expectation. I don't. It's always it's always that you don't want to just start talking expectations a little too early. It just sounds like I hate doing that. You know what I'm saying?
But
I
you
could
know
do
that
for the Mavericks, something like that. But yeah,
they're talking about it. I mean, last year their expectation was to get back to where they were last year, and they did that. I mean,
yeah.
it's got to be
I
the next step, right?
to me, the first game of the season for me dictates how well a season goes for a team. Like a team like this, a team with high expectations. The first game of the year dictates how well they played. And last year was indicative to how they finished and they had they played last year. They had a lot of turnovers. They couldn't complete games. They weren't engaged. I feel like they tried. They were talented. They were in the game. We just got away from them, and they made a lot of mistakes and things kind of went haywire. But it's okay. They still competed, and they were able to still make it a game, even though the score didn't indicate how close the game was at times, and they played well at times. And in a point in time where the game was in reach, they just couldn't capitalize. They just, the mistakes were made. Now I'm looking forward to the team playing, the second round again and getting to Gilmer. And I want to see what team shows up. If that team is focused and that team comes out and they execute and they dominate, execution and domination is what I'm looking for. That lets me know exactly where they are mentally. They come out and execute and dominate. Like I said, I think they're more talented than Gilmer is, and I think they're a little bit older than Gilmer is at this point right now. I think Gilmer has a young football team. I don't want to say that they're down, but they're younger. So, um, but I think it's an opportunity for Chapel Hill to come out. So to me, I think it's a great opportunity for this team to come out and really dominate that game. I mean, Gilman's they're playing at home. Probably gonna have some home refs. I won't say home refs. Probably gonna have some. You know how it goes.
It's
Some
okay,
home
Corey.
cooking every once
This
in a
is a
while.
this is a Chapel Hill
You
podcast.
know,
It's okay. You
I
can
don't
say
want to
it.
say I don't want to blame it on the ref. I'm just saying, like, how it is in basketball. Sometimes you get a call, something goes your way because you're at home instead of on the road. But I mean, how some officials, some go either way. But if you just dominant throughout the football game, I want them to be consistently dominant. I want them to be ready to play, and I want them to have that moniker where I do not want to play Chapel Hill every year. Like they hit harder than everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Swarm defense is a thing now. I want them to actually come out there with that mentality and play like that, play intense every single game. I know, like I've always loved the fact that the game prep stuff is always exciting for me because you always get motivated. You got to know
Mm-hmm.
how to motivate people and man, I'm anxious to see it play because I feel like I'm not gonna say what I think how they're gonna do this year because I've been close to being right every year. I'm like I really feel good about this team this year, but I want to see if my theory is correct. I want to see if they prove me right, and I think they will.
The word I'm going to use
Okay.
for game one is I want to see a statement. They need
Mm.
to make a statement
Okay.
with game one. They come out, and Corey talked about this a little bit. They come out and beat Gilmer 35-7 or 42-47. They come out and put it to them on the road. I think that's a statement for everyone in the area and in the state level for a Division One that okay, Chapel Hills, they're looking to come out and do something this year. They're not playing around. They're not going to start off, like they did last year. Where they lost the first game, but then they let that game beat them in the Van game because we all know that they shouldn't have lost to Van. Gilmer was a good team and they turned the ball over. That was that, but Van was not a better team than Chapel Hill. We know that for sure. And give Van credit. They came out and played, but Chapel Hill was thinking about the week before. There's no way they weren't thinking about that week before performance at home versus Gilmer. And so they let those games get out of hand, and then it kind of ended the season like it was a bookend. He had the bad start, and then you had the bad last game. I mean, you want to throw that Bernie film out. You don't want to relive that. You take that and use it as motivation at another point if you get another shot at them, and it's possible that they might. But between the other parts of the season, they played really well. Now in the playoffs, they had some spots where they were The Lumberton game, they didn't play well the first half and had to rally for a win. But overall, most of the season they played well. So I'm looking for.
Could you be honest? Could you say that they had a complete game last year? If they played a complete game,
The Lindale game.
I mean, especially no, they gave her 49 points. Not a complete game.
Well, they put a lot of subs in. I got to talk to Coach.
Yeah, but you gave her 49 points. You gave her 49 points. I'm gonna give you that. I'm talking about you're not scoring. You know what I'm saying? Like the only reason why you scored is because you had a trick play. That's it. I'm talking about I'm not saying the shutout is complete, but like 14 points, maybe 7. You know, we won 71-4. I'm talking about a complete dominant game. Can you say that they did that last year on a consistent basis?
I mean, consistently.
That's what I'm.
There was a couple games
but like,
they were pretty dominant, but not consistently. No.
So that's what you're saying. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not saying they're going to dominate every game, but I'm saying that's the level of expectation to where they got to believe to be. They want to be at that point in that level where no, we're not taking this. No, if we're superior than my opponent, I'm dominating. You know, you're not scoring 49 points.
So
you're going to get 9 points.
Well, let me ask you this. We always do this every season. Let's go ahead. Let's pick our records. Regular season record.
I'm not picking the record.
You were picking that. You don't, Corey, because remember the other year you picked 10-0. Remember you said the first year we did it, you said no, it was not. It was 7-3 or 8-2, and then last year
I was 8-2. Last year I picked 8-2 again.
Yeah. So what's your legitimate? What do you think it's going to be when we get down to the end of the regular season? Not saying the rest of the playoffs, just regular season, just preseason. It's a guess. What would you guess? Come on, throw a guess out there. I'm going to say 10-0 this year. I think they're going to take care of business. They're on a mission. They're going to take care of the opponents in front of them, and I'm going to go with 10-0. I just think that they're on a mission this year. I've gotten to see some of the summer workouts. The guys are showing up. They're working out hard. Just talking to Coach Ridden a little bit. I just think they're more focused than they ever. Last year, I think they got back to that game, and it's like, oh, we made it back, and then laid an egg. I think this year, these guys, they've got a lot of talent and a lot of guys that have played a lot of games. We'll talk about it with Coach Reardon in his interview, but there's a lot of games on this roster. They've got almost a full season of extracurricular games for just playoffs. For the last
your starting quarterback, that was his first year playing a full season at quarterback. First full year, you know, it's his second. Just think about that. Yeah. You know, you haven't played quarterback, but you had to play a quarter, you know, half of a year until the playoff. You know, it's your first full year.
But he almost got
your second.
He got basically a full year though, Corey. By the time they played the extra games in the playoffs, so I mean, he almost got a full year. That was bonus time for him.
Yeah, but I mean, like going through camp and everything else as QB1, you know.
Yeah, it's true because he started the season as safety. All right, so I threw out 10-0. What are you guys throwing out? What you got? If you were just guessing.
I don't want to jinx them, man.
I'm not jinxing.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's tough.
There's gonna be people predicting all over. I just think that, I mean, and this is a homer show or whatever, but I just think legitimately, I think this year.
And you picked 10-0 last year.
I did.
You picked 10-0 last year.
If they would have beat Gilmer week 1, then they would have been 10-0 because then they would have beat Van. I think they didn't play well against Gilmer. That's the reason they didn't beat him. So I think the district this year
game was a trap game.
It is a trap game, especially coming off a loss like that. Their head was not in that game. I mean, their head was in that game about as good as our robot camera that was trying to film the game. They were both off, not even paying attention. They were paying attention to everything else on the side. But I just think this year, like their district, I think is taking a little step back. I think Kilgore is going to be a little step back. Lindale is going to be a little step back. I think some of the lower teams might be up, but I think Chapel Hill should win district. I won't say with no problem, but it should be the easiest one of the last 2 or 3 seasons. The district's going to be a little easier. To me overall. And so that's why I just think they're going to take care of business. The hardest game for me is week 1 against Gilmer. If they beat Gilmer, I think they go 10-0.
What you got, Vince?
I don't want to say it.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to do it. I
If
don't
you
It's
know,
say
like
if you
man.
say
I'm
it,
gonna
I'll say
say
it. If you go out, if you say it, I'll say
it's
I
it's
don't.
just
Man,
make your
it's
choice.
I don't know. In football, man, you got to go week to week. So
This is just a
looking
prediction.
at it from yeah, but I'm gonna say 9-1. I'm gonna give them 9-1.
Okay, Corey.
it. I'm gonna be. This is gonna sound really crazy. Only game that I think I'm worried about is that Nacogdoches game,
Mm,
and I'm gonna tell you why.
okay.
Because after you play two tough weeks, week one and week two, and those two teams beat you last year, and I think they're gonna be amped up, and they come out and they just ram. I mean, they just you just run through them, you know. And now you got to come back and play Nacogdoches that may or may not be 1-2 or 0-2 or
Well,
1-1 or whatever.
Nacogdoches game is week 4.
Or week
The
four. I'm sorry.
The Greenville game is week 3 in
Yeah,
Greenville.
yeah, that's on one. But the Nacogdoches game, like you played well enough, and you know Nacogdoches played pretty decent the second half of the game that we
Well,
played.
they're
And
kind
I
of
don't think
Jekyll.
Nacogdoches is just horrible,
They're Jekyll and
but
Hyde. Corey. We noticed that last year.
yeah,
They beat
they've had
Whiteout.
games where they've yeah. So that's a game where if you sleepwalk into it, it could ruin that perfect 3-0 record you got. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that's a trap game of epic proportions. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. You beat Gilmer by a pretty good hand. And you get Van, you beat them by a pretty good hand. Then Greenville's probably they're gonna try to compete. We've been playing in the past three or 4 years. They're gonna try to compete. They haven't forgot about us, you know. And let's say you go out and you beat Greenville pretty handedly. Now you're high on the horse, you know. And here comes Nacogdoches, where I mean, they're classification above, obviously. You gotta play them with respect.
Yeah.
That's a trap game. That's a game where how did we let that one slip? Well, that game was a little bit more closer than the other game before. How did that go? You know what I'm saying? Um, that game I worry about, and just for that particular purpose, because you've got those games there and in Palestine. Um, I think Palestine might be the second or third best talented team in the conference. They were young the year before, and I think they got a lot going for them right now. They got a good system, but it's a purposeful game.
Yeah, you
Us
don't
playing them.
well, you don't want to get behind against Palestine either because they're a good ball control
No,
team.
no, no, and that's what I'm saying. So those two games I think are significant games on the schedule. Um, but something's telling me 10-0. I really think they. I'm not gonna say what else I think, but I told you I think they're getting close, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think this year or next year is that they get really close. I just have a feeling, but they've got to. Week one is going to be that game that I think that determines that. If they come out, I don't want to say they have to play flawless, but if they come out and you can tell they fly around and everything with a purpose, I'll see what I need to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a chance to talk to Coach Reardon at Coach's School, got his thoughts of this year's football season. We're gonna go to him now. Hey everyone, this is Brett Swinney from NetSN here at the Texas High School Coaches Association Coaching Clinic. I've got head coach Jeff Reardon from Chapel Hill. Coach, how's it going today?
It's going good.
Coach, coming off last year's semifinal, year before semifinal, I know what your goal is this year, Game 16. So, what is it looking like on your off season and summer preparation to get there?
I think the biggest thing is, our kids are still hungry. They still got the taste in their mouth from the last 2 seasons and not getting our ultimate goal of playing the state championship game and winning the state championship. So, I think that carried over into the off season, kind of lingered with us a little bit. Kids have been committed. Been working hard. A little bit more drive around the field house. These kids are just showing up and giving us everything they got every day, and we got a lot of experience coming back. So that's going to help us. Because I always say you can't coach experience. That's something that you can't coach, and these kids are bringing back a lot of games that they played over the last 2 or 3 years. These seniors have played, roughly 13, 43 games, and this junior class has played 30 games in the last 2 years. So, we kind of lead the nation right now in amount of games played, but, we'd like to ultimately get to that final game.
Yeah, that's ultimate goal is getting that state championship. Now, you did say experience. You're losing quite a bit, a good chunk of the whole time you've been here. This is year 5, and you had 3 or 4 of those guys that played almost all 4 years with you. What are you seeing as far as guys stepping up to fill those roles for next season?
Losing guys like Deuce and Tyson and Kevion are big because they've been staples for 4 years. They started as freshmen for us my first year here. So in 4 seasons, I haven't coached a game without them 3 guys on the field. So it's a big loss. But now we got a program. We got a program installed. We just every year we're going to graduate some great seniors. The year before that, we graduated Solomon and Brack and some of those guys. And the next group steps up. It's kind of where we're at as a program right now. We're just going to reload. We're going to have different guys step up in different roles. And that's what's great about football. It's a complete team game. And you can't be successful at it unless all the pieces of that puzzle are firing on all cylinders. And I think we got a group that we bring back like 9 on offense, and that had some starting games experience, and then we have 6 on defense coming back. So that's a good nucleus of guys coming back, and we had a great JV season, a great freshman season. Our JV went 8-2, and our freshmen went 9-1 in one district. So we got some kids that are coming, that are in the program now, that have been around us and been around this coaching staff since we got here 4 years ago. And right now we just plug and play.
So we know we got Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart, both committed to SMU. Everyone knows those guys. Give me some guys that people may not know that they need to watch for this season.
Guys that, everybody knows Ricky and D. They were freshman phenoms, super sophomores, Superman in the backfield for us. But we got several cats on our team that can go get it. I mean, this 24 class right now, I think, have 5 kids with D1 offers, with Dylan Drummond and Pablo Martinez up front that have been staples up front, Kendall Allen at defensive end, Day Ross at linebacker, Javen Mayfield and Cam Kelly are going to be big time this year. They've had great summers, great 7-on-7, big playmakers. So I think those guys. And then, you have like Darius Dean and Dylan Johnson. And Jonah had a great 7-on-7 and stepped up and is going to do some good things for us. We just look for, those guys to just continue to, build the legacy of what we're trying to do.
Now, you mentioned Jonah, getting to coach your son now. He's going to have a bigger role this season. Yep. What's it like getting to coach your son? I mean, it's a cool experience, I know. So what is it kind of like getting to coach your son on the field?
He's just another one of the guys out there when I'm coaching. And I tell him that all the time, and he's known that from when he was a little kid. Like, when you coach your kid and you're the head coach and AD, you got to be the hardest worker. You've got to it can't ever be a thought of you're playing because you're Coach Rio's son. So he's earned everything he's gotten. He works hard every day. And I try to take the dad role away when we're on the field coaching, and then once we get off the field, I try to take the coach role and just be his dad. So it's definitely a fun experience, and there's only 2 years left in it, so I'm trying to enjoy it. But he's a great coach's kid, typical coach's kid. Loves to work, loves to be around the field house. Has done ball and summer workouts since he was 2 years old. This is like his 9th coaching school, so he just loves being around, and it's fun having your son in your program.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Okay, so let's look up to this season. I know each game you're going to take it one game at a time. What are some games that you think are key in your schedule to see where you're at this year?
I think we jump out of the box with Gilmer, and that's always going to be the test of East Texas. Gilmer's been the upper echelon, the king of the road for several years now over there. Coach Metzel does a great job. Before that, Coach Turner. Before that, Coach Traylor. They've just been kind of built that legacy and that tradition. So opening up with Gilmer is going to be tough. Look forward to that game. We took one on the chin last year, played a rough game, first game of the season. But it did open our eyes and showed us some weaknesses and things we need to work on. And that's why you play the tough games early. Look forward to getting back at Van at home. They're always a tough opponent, got great players. Coach Moffitt does a great job with those kids. So, our first 2 games of the season is going to kind of really tell us what we got to work on and where we're at. And then there are district games, with Lindale, Kilgore, Palestine, they're all tough. East Texas, that District 9-4A is always represented late in the playoffs, and it's because the teams are really, really good. And, we throw heavyweight blows all district, and then we get to the playoffs and we end up playing each other in the playoffs. So it's a fun district, it's a fun schedule. We're gonna know where we're at with the teams, the tough opponents we have on our schedule. So hopefully by the end of it, we'll have it figured out.
Well, that's always the hope at the end of the season. So, what opponent on the schedule this year, maybe last year, you didn't think might have been a threat? Is there someone maybe in the district that you see that's going to maybe improve a lot this year that you guys need to watch out for?
I just go back to our district. It's any Friday night, anybody in our district can get a W, no matter who they play. Coach Holman over at Jacksonville is doing a great job. They got some athletes and they got a quarterback that's really good. We've seen that in 7-on-7. New staff at Henderson is doing a great job of getting those kids fired up and rolling. Coach Harrell at Athens is always makes you nervous because he does a good job and coaches up his kids well. And then you got Lindo, Palestine, and Kilgore that any four of those teams can get in the playoffs and make a run every year. So it's I think a few of those teams last year that didn't get into the playoffs this year may sneak in the playoffs, and somebody that got in the playoffs last year may not get in the playoffs this year. So I think it's going to be a tough district, and just hope when it all sorts out, we're one of those teams that get in the playoffs.
Well, I appreciate your time, Coach, and good luck this season.
Appreciate you having me.
Sir.
Thank you.
And we're back. I'd like to thank Coach Reardon for stopping by the booth at Coaching School and giving us some of his thoughts from last season. Guys, I'm excited about this season, and I'm excited about this podcast that we're going to do each and every week. We'll be talking again about the week before and next week's game, kind of giving our thoughts of the Chapel Hill football season. And, guys, what are you most excited about seeing this year in the football team as we kind of close and wrap it up?
Brisbane. Stewart is dope. He's amazing. He is everything that they say he is. Brisbane, I like y'all said earlier. This first. Well, last year was his first full year, and now he's had time to grow. From that, I want to see that growth. I'm excited for him. I know he's gonna be a lot better than what he was before, than what he was last year. And he wasn't bad last year. That's the crazy thing. He was great last year. So, I'm expecting big things from him.
All right, Corey.
Defense. I think offenses we scored enough points. I think we got to win state. You want to get to that point where you want to win state. You got to stop people, and you got to take pride in stopping people. And you got to make people. You got to punch them in the mouth every single play. You got to make them like. And it's just I want that. I want it for them because in the past we've seen how dominant the offense has been. But we scored 79 points. I mean, come on, that's basketball number. You know what I'm saying?
We don't even score that much basketball, Corey.
Right. I was like, you getting up there, you scoring 7. That's you kick and tell. But football, but defense, I want somebody to just be that one voice and say, no, we're not tonight. You're not scoring for nobody's dropping on us tonight. We're not getting scored on in the air. You're not getting the touch. You're not getting in the end zone. Matter of fact, we're getting takeaways. We're doing everything. They have the ability to do it. I just want them to exemplify that. I just want to see it one game. I want to see that, man. Basketball. Everything's clicking in basketball. It's like, you got good defense. You're getting steals. You're diving on the floor. You're taking charges. You're blocking shots. You're getting defensive rebounds. You only got one shot possession. You getting it all. You doing it all on the defensive end. It looks great. And man, everyone's looking at you like, what, this team is playing great defense. Football, you can hear the pads and everything clacking and hitting and, you ooh and ah, that's what I want every single game you bring in the hat every single game. They have that ability to do that. You don't have, 4 or 5 D1 guys on defense and not have it happen. They got to play up the level of expectation. And I hope they can. I hope they will.
Well, I want to go along the same lines with Corey. I wanted to say defense, but since you went defense, I'm going to throw another one out there. I'm going to say the offensive line this year, guys. Now, we talked about Kevion Huddleston. He's off to TCU, but the majority of those guys are back. And you got Dylan Drummond, Pablo Martinez. What's the other? There's several. They're returning on that line. And I think
Davis.
Yes, Davis as well. You've got those guys protecting Brisbane, giving him time to throw, or blocking for Brisbane and Stewart when they're running the ball. I think that's a key. I mean, and Vince was probably definitely agree with me right here as being an offensive lineman. Like those guys, they do a lot back there and don't get much praise for it. But I really do think
No.
that's a key. The year we won state, in 2011, that offensive line was the only thing all season long that was not injured. They were injury free all year. They held that team together because it didn't matter who they put back there, quarterback, running back, whatever. The line was there, and I really do think that could be a silent key for Chapel Hill this year. No one's really talking about. We're talking about defense. We're talking about Brisbane, Stewart, Mayfield, Kelly, all those guys' weapons on offense. But the line's just kind of sliding under the radar. Now, we've talked about it a little bit, but I really do think that that's going to be the key this season for Chapel Hill. If they can keep those guys healthy and protect the guys behind them, could be a long season for the opponents.
I don't want to argue. It's not swept under the radar. You've got two guys that produced 5,000 yards last year.
Yeah, but nobody
no,
talks.
that's definitely not a surprise.
Yeah. So growing up, Coach,
I know what you mean.
Coach used to always tell us growing up. He said there ain't but two people in this world that's gonna love you. That's the offensive line coach, and then your mama. That's it. Don't nobody else care about you like that. So I know where Brett's coming from because that's what Coach used to tell us all the time. And you're right. When the offense is clicking, nobody's talking about the actual offensive line being the key to that. And they really are, because if the offensive line was bad, you wouldn't be able to move the ball. So I agree with Brett on that. That's a good point. I like that. Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll see where the season goes. We'll be right here every week. We're going to be releasing this show at Tuesday at 9 a.m. on both the YouTube channel and our podcast stream. So be watching out for it and make sure to let everyone know about it. Guys, it's going to be a good season here on NetSN. We're going to be doing this Old DAWGS Show. I'm excited about it. We're going to have some player interviews mixed in here and there with also the Coach Reardon interview each week. So make sure you join us each and every week right here on Northeast Texas Sports Network. For Corey and Vince, I'm Brett. We'll catch you next time right here on the Old DAWGS Show.
Peace.
Satisfied. All right? I keep telling you, curiosity kills the cat. Complacency will kill the dog. Do not get complacent. All right? We got to go to work tomorrow, and we got to go to work next week, the next week, the next week, the next week, the next week, and then in Cowboy Stadium, we're going to put in work on somebody. Yeah.